Yeah, buy gold, buy Bitcoin. Are you even someone I should even be listening to? We've all seen the ads, make money working 1 hour a day. I retired age 22 and I live on an island. And we basically think that is what it is to be an investor. Hello there, my name is Patricia Bright. Welcome to The Break, where we're giving you the tools and resources you need to learn, grow, and navigate life like a boss and make money moves in the process. How are you doing? Oh, by the way, have you noticed? I've invested in a little bit of a new setup. Hello, Boss Babes ready. Yes, today I wanted to go in and talk about the subject of investing for beginners, guys. And I feel like there's a lot of information that so many of us don't actually know. You get the people who are really into finances and they're like geeked out by it. You then got people who say, yeah, buy gold, buy Bitcoin. And you're like, are you even someone I should even be listening to? Do you even have gold or Bitcoin? Like, really? And then there's people like me who are in the middle who know that we need to be investing but aren't quite sure exactly which step to take. And so we're in the process of putting things into place. I personally am very lucky and I've built a bit of an investment portfolio. It's quite diversified and I'm going to talk about that in this video, but I wanted to kind of set the scene before I build up this series and talk about investing, talk about stocks and shares, talk about property investing, by just giving you guys a general overview of what investing is in a way that I hope is easy for us to all understand. You know, we don't need that much jargon. We just need to get there, you know, just give it to me hard and fast. That's what she said. So what is investing? Investing is basically the principle of putting something in today, be that money, time, effort, love, for the expectation of receiving a return in the future. So more money, more time, more love. And that is the principle in general. And I'm obviously gonna focus on it when it comes to like business or finance, but you get the idea. So it's a little bit like magic. It's the idea of putting one rabbit in a hat right now, shaking it up, and two popping out in the future. If only it was that simple. It's not. But it is definitely very rewarding. We've all seen the ads, make money working 1 hour a day. I retired age 22 and I live on an island. I've got my own airplane. I've got my own Lamborghini. And we basically think that is what it is to be an investor. Well, no, that is unfortunately not the case, as much as that would be really nice. So what can you invest in? Number one, I will say this point blank, period. You can invest in yourself. I know it sounds really cliche, but if you are not in the wisest position, if you're slobbing around, if you don't know nothing, if you can't learn anything, if you just aren't where you need to be mentally, emotionally, educationally, then you gotta invest in yourself, honey. Pick yourself up, get ready, pick up some books, do some exercise, make sure you're in a great frame of mind and knowledgeable. And I'm not talking about book smarts, I'm just talking about general smarts, okay? How can you pick up what you know? That is the first thing you should be investing in, because it's gonna help you make smarter decisions for the future. You are your own biggest investment every time. Like, think about that first. So let's now talk about the assets, the juicy bit, the Wolf of Wall Street, the thing that you guys have all seen everywhere and want to know about. So yes, you can invest in the stock market, and via the stock market you can buy stocks, shares, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, options, FX, all this stuff that basically sounds like a lot of jargon to people who maybe are in my position, or maybe even a little bit less than I do, or maybe a little bit more. I will be doing a jargon busting video next. Hit that like button. And the reason why people might invest in products like this is the idea of capital gains. So you spend £1 on an Amazon stock today, or let's say in 2007, and it's worth £400 later. 10 years later, it's gone up by £400. Those aren't the actual numbers, but the whole idea is you've made a return. Your £1 has made you £400. Your $1 has made you $400. your quid's in, right? And then there's also the option to receive dividends. So if you want to live on a salary, then if you invest in stocks that are dividend paying stocks, you then receive a return that you can live on every single day without having to work. Oh my God, that feels good. I want that. And then there are other assets such as property, another sexy subject matter that not everybody knows about. So yes, you can buy property as an investment. And again, it's very similar to buying stocks or buying bonds in that you put money in today with the idea of it being more valuable tomorrow. So you buy a property for £50,000 today, and in 10 years from now, it's worth £200,000. That is a capital growth of basically £150,000, and it's done nothing but basically sit on the land it was already on. And you can also benefit from receiving rental income if you're a landlord, and you can live off that as well, which is something that I do and I will get into a little bit more. And then there are other assets, not talked about as much, but they are out there. They are great. So I'm talking about things like gold and grain, which come under commodities, things like art. And if you ever wonder why people like Beyonce and Jay-Z have a $15 million art collection, it's not just because they like looking at pretty pictures on their yacht. No, it's because they know that that art collection may be worth more in the future. They know that buying that piece of artwork might look good right now, and someone's probably gonna pay a little bit more for it in a few years from now. Blue Ivy, she's set for life. Thank you, mommy. Thank you, daddy. So, to note, with every single investment, there is a risk. If there wasn't a risk, everyone would be doing it. And it's not just if you invest in property, stock, other assets, but even if you invest in your business. You might have a business idea. You might even invest in a career that you commit to, or a degree. You might commit to these things, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna get a specific outcome out of it. However, you have to have some skin in the game to even see if there's a reward. As they say, without some risk, there isn't any reward. The stock market could crash, your business could fail. So to minimize risk, most investors or most smart investors would choose to diversify. I like to put myself in that category of smart investor, or should I say risk averse investor. I don't really like to risk it all. If I've made some money, I would really like to keep it as much as I possibly can. I don't have that Russian roulette mentality. Nuh-uh, not for me. No, I'm not there. So to diversify your risk is basically to have a diversified portfolio, which would basically be having a mix and a little bit of everything. That might be having your job and a side business. It might be having two businesses. It might be investing in stocks, investing in property, investing in art, investing in your business and yourself, just mixing it up. So if one thing isn't doing so well, at least the other things are doing okay, and that then helps you to hedge the risk. And obviously people do this within their stocks and shares portfolios, within their property portfolios, within their assets as well. And this is basically the principle of not putting all your eggs into one basket. Sounds obvious when you put it like that, right? So I thought I would share a little bit about my $1 million portfolio. I just like the number $1 million, you know, everyone loves it. It's a sexy way to draw people in. And what I want to say is that this is not about me showing off. I started from literally nothing, okay? I didn't know anything about finances. I didn't know anything about money or investing. I did not come from a rich background that put me in a position to just, you know, have money to put aside. Like, no, the only thing I had was the clothes on my back and the idea to maybe start thinking about stuff because I hated being utterly broke. This is also not to show off or to be like, well, look at me, look at what I've got. I genuinely believe in modeling. I feel like I've been lucky because I just looked at what other people were doing and it kind of gave me direction, and I picked up nuggets along the way of like, oh my gosh, if I did this, then I could be successful, or I could get out of my debt, or I could improve my situation. So I hope that I'm able to just provide a bit of a model when I share this information. So the first asset I have within my portfolio is property. Yes, I have 3 different properties within my portfolio. They're worth in total probably around £1 million to £1.2 million, and they make me a return of about £5,000 on a monthly basis, so £60,000 a year. Yeah, that's correct. That's the right numbers. It isn't the highest rate of return, so it's probably between a 4 and 5% rate of return. But I'm not someone who's trying to like increase rents or make more money right about now. What I love about having property in my portfolio is obviously it's an appreciating asset. I bought them for relatively cheap. I bought some of these at auction. I got some bargains, and I know that they're going to be worth more in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And I know that these can be also shared to my children in the long run. So that is one of the things that I have in my investment portfolio. Number 2, I have a few stocks and I have a few shares, and they are in the wrapper of a pension. Now, I'm going to do a video on pensions, which is like the least sexiest subject, but I realized that in the finance world, people like this stuff. So I think if you hit the like button, we'll do a pension video. Should we go there? We'll go there. So yes, I have a pension set up, a SIP, which is considered probably similar to a Roth IRA. And I'm gonna try and do like the American version when it comes to like pensions, as well as the UK version. And I have probably about 100,000 within this wrapper, and that invests in multiple different mutual funds and index funds. And I was doing this via a financial advisor, but I will be doing a lot more of this myself. And we're gonna invest together, baby girls and guys. We're gonna invest together. Watch me. And then I also have money within my business that's wrapped up within products, because I have stuff that I'm producing and creating that most people don't know about. That's also wrapped up in cash in the bank that should be doing something, as well as some that has been set aside to also invest in funds. So within my company, I'm able to invest. So I've got a lot of liquid cash at the moment, but I am gonna be putting it more into multiple different assets, including building and growing my business ideas as well. Okay, so I have spoken enough about me and my money, and I wanted to talk about why it's really important to start investing. It doesn't matter what age you are. I think it's very important to start straight away. And the number one reason is compound interest. If you don't know this principle, it's basically about the money that you put down, the principal you put down in the first place, becoming exponentially more valuable. And this is because you earn interest on the interest. And over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that initial amount that you put in grows so much. I tried to get an example to put on the screen just to give you an idea from a numerical perspective, but it's very valuable, and this is a way that money makes money. Another reason why to invest is because it gives you the opportunity to have passive income. And everybody likes money that they haven't really had to work for, though you do kind of have to work for it. Passive income is definitely something that you can get via investment. It's something that you basically initially set up, and then you don't have to do much work afterwards to reap the rewards and to reap that income. Another reason is inflation. Hyperinflation, inflation, you hear these terms all the time, but basically it means that your money today is worth less tomorrow. So back in the day, you hear our parents say, oh, you could buy a house for like £50,000. And now it's like £500,000 for the same house. Inflation. A loaf of bread used to be 13 pence. It's now 65p or £1. Inflation. You might have heard some countries where they have hyperinflation, where for them to buy a loaf of bread would cost literally 1 million of their dollars. Hyperinflation. This sometimes happens when the government, they print more money, and actually it just causes the money that you have right now to be worth less than it currently is. That is something that you really can protect yourself from via investing. So the cons when it comes to investing, because there are some cons. As I mentioned before, there's risk. Nothing is guaranteed. You do not know if you put your £100, your $100 into something today, if you're gonna get it back. You might never get it back, okay? Investing is for people who are willing to potentially lose the amount that they might put in. This is not for the faint of heart, although there are some really low risk investing options, which I will definitely be talking about in the future. Another reason why investing can be a little bit of a pain or a little bit risky is that if you need that money today for something, if you've got all that money locked up, you can't access it. It might be in a pension, it might be in stocks and shares, it might be in a property. These are all assets that are illiquid. You can't turn them into cash quickly and put them into something you might need today, like rent. So it's really important, if you are thinking about investing, is to think about what your current costs and what your current expenses are. What do you need to live on versus just investing it all and then basically eating crisps every day because you've got no money, but it's all in your portfolio. That's probably not the wisest decision as well. And I will also say that you cannot predict when your investment is going to make a return. There are some ways you can kind of hedge it, but there's no guarantees, as mentioned before. I know a lot of people, they want new money right here, right now, credit card in, cash flies out, you're rich. That isn't always the case when it comes to investing. Okay, so how can you start to invest? Now, I'm going to keep it really light because I am not a financial professional, and this video is really more as an introduction for beginners, but we are going to get into the juicy details. But the first thing you want to invest in, yep, I'm going to say it, it's yourself. It's yourself. You need to educate yourself, do some reading, develop yourself, up your skill set, improve your mindset, and just, as I mentioned, just work on yourself, being the best you. In that way, you're going to be able to create the most wealth in your life to then actually invest into the different assets that I've talked about. The next thing you want to do is identify your risk appetite, and that might be taking into consideration your age, your demographic, how much money you need available to yourself right now. Do you have dependents? Are you single and free and ready to mingle or to put your head down and get rich? You need to identify what your risk profile is, and also you need to identify what do you want out of life from a daily or a monthly basis. You don't want to put everything aside and then you actually can't live. You need to work out what that numerical freedom number looks like to you. You need to look at what your investment goals are. What do you want? Do you want to be able to live off a salary? Do you want to receive a dividend regularly? Do you want to receive rental income regularly? Is it that you want to have a huge windfall later? Are you ready to risk it all, invest in a business, put £1 million on black and see what happens? Once you've done that, the first thing I would say anybody who wants to look at investing should do is to start being a saver, okay? You guys have seen me, I talk about my budget template all the time. If you don't know how much money you have available to yourself, don't even start investing. Look at your income, look at your outgoings, and then start to save an amount that you can then use to put towards your assets, which you can't do until you get a grip of your current financial status, which is why I'm obsessed with budgets. I've got my budget R link down below. It's cheap, it's easy to use, and I know that people love it. So that is the beginning of my investment series. Guys, I'm really excited to do this. I'm learning so much myself. I'm not an expert, but do you know what? I'm reading from the experts, I'm learning from the experts, and I feel way more equipped today than I did a year ago. I have been using a financial advisor for the longest amount of time, and I feel relatively confident to kind of go in and do stuff myself. So if you want to see me on my journey, if you want me to share more about what I'm investing in, if you want to know more about my property portfolio, you're going to want to hit the like button. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to go far more into detail about investing into my properties. So make sure you are subscribed if you want to see all of that good content coming your way. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And in the meantime, I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.